Why hello everybody, it's time to talk about My Hero Academia chapter 182. We haven't really had a review in 2 weeks now, so at long last we can once again talk about the manga. However, we're not really gonna talk about much new because this chapter pretty much went more in depth in what we got in the last chapter of My Hero Academia when we got to see Eri smile for the first time. This time we kind of got the whole thing again, but we got a lot more information. We got the build up to the whole thing. We got to see the concert in absolute detail, whereas last week it just breezed through the whole thing and we saw Eri smile and that was about it. And then we got some Gentle La Brava stuff, whereas Gentle and La Brava were not even part of this chapter. So you could say that the last chapter simplified a lot on what we got in this chapter, but one thing that we got to learn in this chapter that I really liked was the whole thing with Jiro. Well, it's not really that we got to learn anything new, but we got to see some backstory on Jiro's part when she was talking to her parents, I guess, and she was explaining to them that she didn't really want to end up being a musician, whereas she wanted to become a hero, and they were perfectly fine with it because at the end of the day, you know, it's her life, she's gonna make her own decisions, and they respected that, which I think is good. You know, we can see that her parents, they weren't like the type of parents that would try and force you to become something else. Like in some movies or TV shows, you know, you can see some family drama where the parents will try and force you to kind of pursue a certain career, whereas in this case you don't really see that. She's very open to choose her own path. And I think that's really good, and it kind of shows us, of course, that she has the talent to become a musician, both due to her quirk but also the fact that she is into music. She likes playing instruments and all of that, but on top of that she wants to help people, she wants to become a hero. And as one of her parents states, that at the end of the day, becoming a hero and becoming a musician, they're kind of the same thing in a way, because at the start you're just doing these trivial stuff, you're just doing things on a much lower scale, but as you go on and become more proficient at what you're doing, you may end up on a much bigger path. You might end up doing things on a much larger scale than what you originally did. Like, let's say at the beginning when you're a musician or a hero, well, let's say a musician to begin with, you're playing an instrument to your friends, you know, you have a small band maybe, you're just doing things for fun, but as you grow and become more popular, that band will, of course, if you're lucky enough, end up going on tours and you may end up really famous. And in the case of a hero, you know, at the beginning you're probably gonna end up being a student of heroism, if we can call it that. If you're in UA, you're learning about becoming a hero. You're basically just having a taste of what's being a hero is like, and then when you graduate, you know, you'll get your license to actually be a hero. You may not end up being a pro hero at first, of course, because at the beginning you may end up being a sidekick. So you're working your way up in a way, and I guess that's what you're trying to say is that at the beginning you're really low and you're not really doing things as seriously as you may have been doing at the start, but when you get higher up it becomes a lot more intense and a lot more important, maybe in whatever way. It doesn't have to mean that it's about saving the world for the greater good or anything. It could mean something else. It depends entirely on the character. But that's really it on what I liked when it came to Jiro this chapter, because we really got some insight on her, didn't we? Yeah. Now the other thing that I really want to bring up, and this isn't necessarily a negative thing, but it's something that I picked up on that I'm having mixed feelings on, which is the art during the whole light show with Aoyama and Deku, because as we know, Aoyama was gonna use his laser to have this sort of light show, like a disco ball thing, and during that time we see some very questionable art because, well, it's so bright, so you basically see the outlines of things, which makes the characters look very scribbly. They really look low quality to some extent. Not entirely sure if this was Horikoshi's deliberate choice or if this is something that he was pressed on time for or something like that. I don't really know. I have mixed feelings on it, not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time I feel like it could have been done better. So the last thing that I'm gonna go into, and this is something that we without question did get to experience last week as well, which was Eri's smile, because last week we got to see Eri's smile, but it was very fast paced. We just really got to see the blitz through the concert and then eventually she smiled. But in this chapter we get to see the build up to her smile. You know, the whole concert is what actually makes her smile. We get to see the cooperation of the whole class working together, and then we see Deku and everybody else on the stage, and we have this moment with Eri when we see this panel of Overhaul kind of grasping around her and she breaks free of some sort of hold, I guess. That I guess it's a mental thing that Eri was having, because obviously she's been with Overhaul for a long time, so it's not all too surprising that she'd still feel some sort of imprisonment from Overhaul, even if he is gone from her life. And she wanted to release that, and she managed to do that. The way she did that was obviously through the whole smile thing. You know, we saw how she broke free in a way. That's the only way I can really describe it. She was really breaking free of Overhaul's grasp on her from a psychological standpoint, because obviously physically Overhaul is nowhere near her, but in her mind he was still somehow trapping her in some kind of state of fear, I guess. But she wanted to really break free, and she managed to do that without anyone's help, really. I mean, technically the concert did help her because she wanted to smile and she wanted to be free of that fear and that anguish, I guess. And I think from this point on we're gonna see a lot of happy faces from Eri, at least more than we have, because this was the first time we really got to see her smile. We just got to see the same smile twice, really. So we may be getting to see her actually being less downy and more uplifting as far as her personality goes and her mood and stuff like that, which I really look forward to, especially if she's going to be a more recurring character. Not entirely sure if she will, because I just don't see how she would consistently be able to be part of the plot in an effective way. I mean, yes, you could technically argue that obviously Aizawa is her caretaker, so she might be taking part in the series. Like, she might actually be in the manga during some times when we see Aizawa and stuff like that. Maybe when Aizawa's holding classes, sometimes Eri might be there with him. Not entirely sure though, because I don't really know how she'd really be of much relevance, if you know what I mean. Like, even though she would just be there because she doesn't have anywhere else to go or anyone else to be with apart from maybe Mirio, I feel like she needs to play some sort of role if she's gonna be there, and I just don't see what kind of role that would be, because it's a high school. She's a bit young to be, you know, in a high school apart from, you know, bring your baby to work kind of thing, if you know what I mean. So I hope we get to see her more, but I want it to be in a good way, not just to have her there just to have her there, if you know what I mean. Like, I wanted to actually have some sort of meaning behind it. Anyway, I'm gonna end the video here, so let me know what you think down below in the comments. Like, did you like this chapter, or did you feel like it was just unnecessary to have a repeat of what happened last week, even though it was more detailed? And as always, if you did, be sure to Detroit smash that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't already. This has been Chaotic Plus, and remember everyone, Toga is waifu, Toga is Laifu.